one thing was for sure. They both believed Sparks to be a total tool.
Be an exciting contest which shows that divorced couples can still have fun together, right?
Mythological hero H-list. C. On the spot dice spin.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
You win!
Well, here we are. Strange to think that the absolute nadir of the game show season would happen in July of 2017. Well, at least according to the voters of the Patrick Wayney Award this year. I'd have to say it's kind of well deserved. CBS decided to market this show because of how many people play the app. Of course, it's in the billions, but there's something that you have to do when you try to market a game show, and that is come up with an actual game to go with the marketing and the source material. They didn't do that with this, and that's why it sucks. I give you Candy Crush.
With over 1 trillion levels played, Candy Crush is one of the most popular mobile games in the world.
Candy Crush.
Now it's the largest interactive television experience ever.
This is Candy Crush!
Candy Crush might be an addicting game to play, but what people and producers often forget about the TV translation of such games is that you have to make a good TV game out of the source material, or make a good game and just slap the name of a brand on it. Candy Crush thought that they didn't need to do that, and just directly ported the home game with a bunch of nonsensical and overly complicated ways to play the game. You might have seen this year's Wayney discussion video with Jessica Brand, where she couldn't even get past the first 10 minutes of the show since it bored her to near death. For someone who's big into sports statistics, especially finding best ways to measure WAR, and variable comparisons between offensive tackles and tight ends regarding to blocking passes from Alex Smith, then that's saying something. With that being said, let's take a closer look at how this stinker lost 50% of Big Brother's audience. Normally we talk about the host, but we got something much bigger that we need to talk about, and that's the set. There are 2 parts of the set that we need to talk about. This first part involves the qualifying round setup, which is just 4 55-inch touchscreens and some cheap props in between the one during the playing of the game, and one having to move between some obstacle course or whatever they have to do for this part of the game. I'll talk more about the childishness and the awfulness of that in a second, but the big feature that was bandied about that caused some buzz was the gigantic board that would be played for the main round and endgame. The board consisted of 55 of the 55-inch monitors, creating 2 monolithic game boards reaching over 20 feet wide and 25 feet tall, making it the current Guinness World Record holder for the biggest touchscreen display. I'll give them credit, it does look impressive and probably cost the production company more to make than it cost the cheap bastards at Entertainment Studios to shoot a second season of Funny You Should Ask. CBS and King hyped up this award so much that it also masked the fact that they did shy away from talking about the key element of the show, the actual game itself. With that, we will also take a page from them and not talk about the game just yet, but instead we get to talk about Mario Lopez, the host of the show. I don't know how, but he looked the same here as when he did in Masters of the Maze back in 1995. Did he find the Fountain of Youth or something? Anyway, when it comes to any show Mario Lopez has hosted, it always comes back to one conclusion. He's fine, albeit a little bit generic. You could plug him into any role and he'll do a decent job. He did alright for Masters of the Maze, his current gig at Extra, and even taking the almost impossible task of trying to drag a good hosting job out of Khloe Kardashian on The X Factor. After that proved to be about as impossible as turning the Seattle Mariners into a World Series contender, he did it himself, and he was fine there. Here on Candy Crush, he does his usual fine job. He roots for the contestants even if the challenges they are given throughout the proceedings are complete bollocks. Speaking of said challenges, let's talk about the game. The game starts with 4 teams of 2 playing a giant-sized version of the game in order to win the grand prize of $100,000. The first part is the qualifying round where the 4 teams try to complete a board and a task as fast as they can. These tasks range from trying to free the Yeti mascot by removing all the frosting from the board while tethered together to being stuck on a turntable making matches on a board and to have run through the elastic jungle from Nickelodeon Guts, and unlock a licorice lock twice. The challenges could have worked if they had just removed the added unnecessary physical challenge to it all. Challenges like freeing the Yeti and unlocking the licorice are hard enough. They don't need some physical addition to it. People would love to watch ace Candy Crush players face off in some of these tough challenges. They didn't need stuff that would be rejected by Double Dare and already done by Legends of the Hidden Temple. Better. The winner of the qualifier then gets to play the king-sized challenge. You know how people say that King lacks the art of subtlety? Yeah, this person, by sticking their name onto a round, and you thought trying to trademark the word saga was bad. No. Wait, actually the trademarking thing is still worse. Come to think about it, after that trademark fiasco, everybody and their mother who is involved in video games wanted King to go the way of PopCap Games and for them to be relegated into obscurity. Just like this show. But back on track though, these king-size challenges have the contestants play on one of the two big boards. The goal is to try to get the biggest score in 2 minutes, or matches of 4 and 5 added time bonuses of 5 and 10 seconds each. Now, instead of the smart thing being having the teams play the game of all the various hazards the game has, like the licorice, chocolate, frosting, bombs, the brain trust decided to make playing the games as frustratingly hard to do as is level 387 on the actual game. Some of these frustrations are having gumballs all over the playing area, swinging from left and right while being back-to-back while on the vertical wall, being on one of those window washer lifts to play the game, and other forms of making the game more complicated and incoherent to follow than the plot of an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie. And that's the biggest problem of the show. It's too complicated for its own good. They just stripped down all of the unneeded mess and just focused on the game itself, then it wouldn't be as bad as it was. Instead, they had the Vince Russo more is more philosophy, and it choked away any enjoyment the show had for anyone. After all 4 teams had a shot at a king-size challenge, the 2 teams who made the most matches during their own challenge gets to play the final round. The final round has the controller playing a board while they have to get the key down to the bottom. Doing that releases the key to unlock the joysticks to move their partner who is suspended near the big boards. Using the joysticks, the teams must make 50 matches before the other one does. The first team to make 50 matches wins the game and the $100,000 grand prize. Out of all the contrived things that the show has put into place, this might be the only time where such mess actually works. Why, you ask? Because they are all parts of the actual game being used. The key drop is the same as the fruit drops that are in the game, as well as the joysticks being used because that's the form of controls you see at the bottom of the screen when you play the game. While that could be improved upon, it's actually fine for what it is. Even though we had to wait until the end of the show to find the source material being used somewhat decently, the audience at home didn't care as ratings cratered after the first episode. While the first episode had all the hype behind it because he had Big Brother and Survivor characters playing on it, the second episode had the reviews out and viewer revulsion came into play. The show saw its ratings drop over 50% from week 1 to week 2 and lost a lot of Big Brother's 19 ratings. Seeing the overall bleeding after months, CBS scheduled it to Saturday for burn-off purposes for the last 2 episodes to be aired on a one-night finale. The show ended on September 2nd, 2017, and nobody even cared it was gone. But here's the question that I like to pose to all of the Wayney winners we had for the past couple of years. Given the source material, can we fix the show into something that's watchable? I had an idea to try to recreate Blocken from Belgium. For those who don't know what Blocken is, it's basically Tetris, the game show. But in doing that, I couldn't come up with a coherent point formula to actually make the game fair, especially with all the combos that would be coming into place, especially during the later parts of the game. So, I honestly don't have one. At least something that's not coherent that could actually be somewhat decent. So, with that being said, why don't you leave a comment and maybe come up with one yourself, and we'll read the good ones on a future GSG project in the future. Well, that's going to do it for year 9 of Game Show Garbage. I'd like to thank everybody who's even commented, watched a video, gone to the website over these past 9 years, left me a nice email or comment, donated to our Patreon. I just want to thank everybody for watching. Year 10 starts in October, and we'll have more information for that on the website as soon as it comes out. Until next time, bye-bye!